Hello friends, welcome to Defense Matrix. On this channel you will get fully information about defense and technology. See the videos about world forgotten histories on this channel. Let's view the video. The Secret U-Boat Base. The hidden fortress beneath the waves. Imagine a place so secret, so heavily fortified, and so vital to Hitler's war machine that even the might of Allied forces struggled to destroy it. Welcome to the U-Boat Base, hidden beneath layers of concrete, deception, and steel nerves. These weren't just ordinary military outposts, they were underwater fortresses, carved into harbors, dug into cliffs, and buried deep within the coastlines of Nazi-occupied Europe. Built to survive relentless Allied bombing campaigns, these bases were protected by concrete ceilings up to 7 meters thick, capable of withstanding even direct hits from heavy aerial bombs. Beneath them, German U-boats, stealthy and deadly, would glide silently in and out, launching attacks that crippled Allied shipping lines. But what made these locations truly terrifying was their secrecy. Hidden from satellites, which didn't exist yet, obscured by camouflage, and shielded from espionage, they became the nervous system of the underwater war Germany was waging. From Lorient to Saint-Nazaire, these bases became near impenetrable strongholds, filled with state-of-the-art engineering and shrouded in mystery. What secrets still lie within their cold, abandoned walls, inside Hitler's underwater war machine? To truly grasp the danger posed by these secret bases, you need to understand the sheer power of the Nazi U-boat fleet. These submarines weren't just vessels, they were silent hunters, invisible to radar, capable of crossing oceans undetected, and sinking entire convoys with just a single torpedo. Inside the U-boat base, teams of engineers worked around the clock, repairing damage, restocking torpedoes, and upgrading equipment. These bases weren't simple docks, they were fully equipped naval factories, complete with power stations, fuel depots, sleeping quarters, and encrypted communication centers. What's even more spine-chilling is how Hitler invested in this underwater warfare as a key strategy to strangle Britain into submission. From inside these shadowy bases, German U-boat captains received secret orders, navigational updates, and intelligence gathered from spies and intercepted communications. The technology aboard each U-boat was ahead of its time: sonar deflecting hulls, decoy torpedoes, stealth propulsion, and even early versions of snorkel systems that allowed them to remain submerged for days. These bases weren't just military outposts, they were the heart of Nazi Germany's naval terror. 3. The birth of the secret U-boat base. As Hitler set his sights on dominating the Atlantic, he knew Germany needed more than just ships, it needed a network of invisible strongholds. The solution? Ultra-secure U-boat bases hidden across the coastlines of occupied France and Norway. Construction began swiftly after the fall of France in 1940. The Germans deployed thousands of forced laborers, engineers, and elite military architects. The goal? Build a base so durable, so secret, that it could house dozens of submarines, protect them from air raids, and serve as a hub for underwater domination. The most notorious bases, Lorient, Brest, Saint-Nazaire, La Rochelle, emerged like monsters out of concrete and steel. They were designed with self-sustaining power plants, flood-proof pens, and multi-level control centers. Some bases even had underground tunnels and escape routes, in case of a last-stand scenario. But what truly set these structures apart was their invisibility. They blended into the coastline, camouflaged from aerial reconnaissance, and were supported by elaborate misinformation campaigns. Allied pilots flew over them, unaware of what lurked below. Every brick, every beam, was a piece in Hitler's puzzle to dominate the Atlantic Ocean. The U-boat bases weren't just built, they were engineered for secrecy, survival, and strategic supremacy. Technology ahead of its time, the U-boat bases weren't just bunkers, they were high-tech marvels of military engineering, decades ahead of their time. The sheer scale was mind-bending: roofs reinforced with bomb-proof concrete, automated doors that could withstand explosions, and internal railway systems that transported torpedoes and engines from one pen to another. Each base had its own command and control center, complete with encrypted radio transmitters that could communicate with submarines halfway across the Atlantic. And here's the kicker: the Germans developed acoustic shielding and electromagnetic insulation long before such technologies were common. Some U-boat pens were even equipped with dry docks hidden below water level, allowing repairs to happen without raising the submarine above the surface. Ventilation systems filtered air during gas attacks, and anti-aircraft batteries guarded every rooftop. One of the most advanced secrets was the Funkpiler system, a radio navigation system that allowed U-boats to triangulate their position using secret base signals. Combined with radar-absorbing coatings and experimental snorkels, the U-boats became nearly invisible. While the Allies built sheer numbers, Germany invested in futuristic defenses, housed in these mysterious megastructures. Many of these innovations inspired post-war submarine tech, and some are still classified to this day: silent hunters, U-boat missions from the shadows. From inside the concrete strongholds of the U-boat bases, a deadly game of cat and mouse played out beneath the waves. German U-boats slipped out silently under cover of darkness, armed with torpedoes and ruthless orders, cripple Allied supply lines and starve Britain into surrender. The Atlantic was their hunting ground, and these submarines were the silent predators. Once out at sea, U-boat captains would stalk convoys for days, listening for the hum of propellers, reading encrypted codes sent from the base, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when they did, ships exploded, cargo vanished into the ocean, and panic followed. Some missions turned captains into legends. Take Otto Kretschmer, who sank over 200,000 tons of Allied shipping in just 1 year, or Gunther Preen, who audaciously infiltrated Scapa Flow and torpedoed a British battleship inside its own harbor. Back at the base, every returning U-boat was welcomed like a ghost returning from the grave. Crews would step out exhausted, haunted, and sometimes wounded, only to be turned around within days for another mission. But not every U-boat returned. Losses were brutal. Allied depth charges, sonar, and aircraft patrols evolved rapidly. Yet the bases, hidden, fortified, and undetected, kept pumping new submarines into the war machine, creating a terrifying cycle of stealth, destruction, and death. How the Allies tried to destroy it. The Allies knew that as long as these U-boat bases existed, the Atlantic would never be safe. But attacking them? That was an entirely different challenge. The bases were fortresses of steel and concrete, designed to take direct hits from the largest bombs of the era. Standard bombing raids failed miserably. Planes would drop hundreds of bombs, only to scratch the surface of the U-boat pens. German anti-aircraft defenses made repeat attacks deadly for Allied pilots, so the Allies turned to innovation. They developed the Tallboy and Grand Slam bombs, seismic earth-penetrating bombs capable of cracking the thick bunker roofs. Entire squadrons like the famous RAF 617 Squadron, known for the Dam Buster raid, were repurposed to hit these hardened targets, but even then, most U-boat pens survived. Some were so deeply fortified that even the Grand Slams bounced off. Allied spies tried infiltration, resistance fighters attempted sabotage, and commandos even considered direct ground assaults, but the risk was immense. The U-boat bases were not just targets. They were nearly invincible strongholds. It wasn't until Germany's collapse in 1945 that these bastions were finally abandoned. They didn't fall, they outlived the war. 7. The base after the war, forgotten or reborn. When Nazi Germany fell, the Allies finally breached the unbreakable walls of the U-boat bases. What they found inside was chilling, unfinished submarines, crates of documents, torpedoes still loaded, and signs of rushed evacuations. But what happened next is perhaps even more fascinating. Some of the bases, like Lorient and Saint-Nazaire, were so heavily built that even demolition was impossible. The Allies couldn't afford the manpower or cost to destroy them. So, they were simply left, forgotten, abandoned. Silent giants rusting by the sea. Others were repurposed. In the Cold War era, NATO and French naval forces took over some of these same structures, turning them into modern submarine command posts and training facilities. The technology used by the Nazis, once seen as terrifying, became blueprints for the next generation of submarine warfare. Some of these locations are now open to the public. Tourists can walk through corridors where once top-secret missions were planned. You can still feel the echoes of war in the concrete walls, the rusted steel doors, the forgotten rooms, but not all of them are accessible. Some remain sealed, off-limits, guarded, and whispered about in conspiracy circles. What lies behind those locked bunkers? Forgotten weapons? Documents? Or something more, maybe the war never truly left. What we still don't know, the remaining secrets. Despite decades of exploration, some of the U-boat base's darkest secrets remain buried, literally and metaphorically. Rumors swirl about sealed-off chambers never opened since 1945. Some claim the Nazis built escape tunnels or hidden vaults, possibly filled with stolen treasures, experimental tech, or even lost U-boats that were never accounted for. Declassified documents hint at missing war logs, sunken submarines, and strange radio transmissions detected long after the war ended. Could there be undiscovered Nazi blueprints for next-gen submarines, or even early nuclear research locked away inside? And then there's the eerie silence from certain bases still owned by military agencies. Why do some remain strictly off-limits? Is it just old classified material or something else? The secret U-boat base remains one of WWII's most haunting mysteries. Not everything was destroyed, not everything was revealed, and perhaps, not everything was meant to be found. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel Defense Matrix for more interesting videos.